Hello, I'm Vivian, and this video is on mental health issues. I am not a medical professional. I did want to go into the psychiatric field when I was in high school. I decided I wanted to go into that field, and I noticed something. How do I put it? I don't. I'm blunt. I like to just put it out there, and hopefully you're not offended and you take it for, I don't mean it to be in a cruel or mean way. But when I looked around at the other kids that were wanting to go into the psychology or psychiatric field, most of them were more messed up than I was. There was a lot of self-help, and also I understand, I've been through it, and I feel like I can help someone who's going through it also. So there's that aspect of that field too. But I looked at that going, no, and I went into engineering. So, but I probably am bipolar. I was manic depressive, and I'll go into that in its own video. I definitely have OCD. It's a weird type of OCD, but I do get very obsessed, and it's hard for me to stop with certain things. So that's OCD. And there's a thing with OCD, ADD. Also, I definitely have, prime example right here, ADD. But there's a part of ADD that's a hyper focus. A lot of people don't realize that, and it's hard for them to go, well, they can do that, then I don't think they have ADD. But you have to look at a lot of things and realize, and the American culture is really good about putting labels. We want to label things so we know what they are. This kid has ADD, this kid has ADHD, and this kid has, it's like, but countries with similar diets don't have those problems with their kids then there's things that's going on with that. So depression, I've got the cure for depression. I'll put it on a video, and it doesn't require any medications or supplements for that matter, although some may help. So that's part of being bipolar. You have these ups and downs, and I'm actually grateful. I have some ups that are just amazing. There's no drug required. I get on these high on life things that are just, I'm grateful for, and I get stuff done. It's amazing. It's like, wow. But I have to watch the lows. The lows are dangerous. I know the signs. My husband knows the signs. He's my detector, and he'll tell me, it's like, Vivian, this is a concern. You're too low now. It's been a long time since I've had a really, really big manic episode. It's been years since. There were several times in my life where I went like a week with hardly any sleep or no sleep at all, and I was all over the place 24/7. I was like everywhere. I was doing all sorts of stuff. I couldn't sleep, and that's dangerous because you're going to crash. It's not healthy. But by day 3, my thought process is I think is brilliant, and then afterwards I was like, oh my God, that was really messed up. So and then dealing with the other end of that, and since making a lot of changes to my diet, it's gone away. I've not really had that kind of manic, up all night for several nights in a row. Can't sleep. Can't nap. Can't. It's like, and I don't want to. I am just like, I know in my head going, I need to sleep. I need to rest, but I got all this energy. I got to do this. At one time I was, by a professional, I was diagnosed as functionally depressed, which is an oxymoron. You're not supposed to be able to. Most people don't function when they're depressed, but I was functioning. I had all the other symptoms, but I was out there doing things because I had to get things done. I just had that drive in me that I couldn't, as much as I wanted to curl up in the fetal position in a corner and just not interact with anybody. I wasn't allowed. I didn't allow myself to do that. And I'm also going to discuss childhood abuse and what that set me up for as an adult, because that's where it came from. Coping mechanisms that the only way I was able to cope with some of the abuse carried over, because that's what you learn to do. And in any sort of similar situation, that's what I did. And what works for a child normally will not work for an adult. But there's a lot that I'll share in the other videos more in detail. But there's a lot with that in particular, and a lot of that's very emotional, very traumatic for me, and I know when other people talk about their traumas, what they went through, it brings a lot of stuff up in me, for me. So I told a friend on Facebook, I'm gonna have to unfollow you for a while, because she was posting a lot of stuff, that the images, the information she was putting out there, it was good information. And she felt she needed to share it, and that was good. But I told her I was not in a position emotionally to see those things right then. And I did it, and I told her in love, and she perfectly understood. There were some harsh images. And then I've got friends that's posting images of Christians being persecuted in other parts of the world, and seeing images of an entire family, small kids, hung. I can't, just those, because I immediately put my family into that picture, my grandkids, and that's not what I should be doing. That's not healthy. But just giving you an example of things I just can't. And there's times I can deal with it, and there's times I can't deal with it. And it's up to me to realize those times. I've got some really, really good books on that. And I think this, I'm going to put marriage and relationship under mental health, because the people we have in our lives help with us being healthy mentally and emotionally, or they hurt us in that area. And if you have a toxic person in your life, and I pray it's not a spouse, but if that person is, a spouse, you can't just get away from them, but you need to learn how to deal with them in a way that's healthy for you and them. A lot of times we go into that codependency, and we may actually be toxic back in some cases, because that's the only way we know how to deal with it, and it just snowballs the toxicity in the relationship. So I think, and we did that. My husband and I did that in the early part of our marriage. So I really believe that relationships fall under mental health or mental illness, depending on how that goes. So when I talk about relationships, that goes back to the mental issues, the emotional issues that drive us. So I've got more videos coming up on that. So like I said, just take the notifications off as if you're getting flooded with all these things I've been uploading and publishing. So I'm just giving you a warning, and I will have them, like I'm going to do the health ones, and I think I probably need to do the mental ones on their own playlist series, even though they do tie back into the health issues. But that some people, like I said, just may not be at the point where they can deal with some of the issues I will bring up, because I'm bringing up every sort of abuse, most of which I've experienced in some form or another, and I can share from my own experiences. But when I hit on something, some people may not be ready for that issue to be brought up in their life. And I've also noticed that in my life, when I was safe, emotionally in a safe place, things came up to my remembrance that I buried because it was too much for me to deal with at other times in my life. But when I was in a safe place, which really kind of sucks because it's like, hey, everything's going great, my life is going good, there's no big problems, no more than regular stress in my life, and then all of a sudden, boom, something really painful comes back up because now you're at a point where you can deal with that. And like I said, the mind is an amazing thing, especially when it's getting what it needs. It's going to do what it has to do. And having things buried like that is not healthy for anybody. It's a ticking bomb that's going to go off. And sometimes a movie, a TV show, a friend's comment can trigger that. And it may not be a safe time for you to recall that. So I'm going to put that separately for that reason. And I just want everyone to understand why I'm doing it. So the mental health videos, and this one I'm putting into the health one, and it's the start of the mental series. So if you don't want to deal with those things right now, if you're not in a safe place, you're not in a good place in your life to have those things come up, don't watch them. Don't listen to them. Because you've got to set those limits, and you may need to work on physical health, what you're eating, your activity, getting enough sleep. That kind of stuff, is a lot easy, not easy, but easier sometimes in dealing with the emotional and mental issues, especially with childhood traumas. That can really threw me for a loop at certain times. These things would come up. So I hope I explained things well enough. And again, thanks for joining me on this journey.